I'm switching to English as well. So greetings from Dallas, after Montreal. It is a little bit maybe warmer, not so European, but definitely North American. So as the audience have been watching different, speakers and in general, reading about the topic as well. AI is on the rise. There's not a single day that, I don't hear about AI or at work as well as part of our products. It's definitely, it is embedded already. So today, however, instead of really talking about, the specific technologies, etc., I'd like to actually, pause us for, at least for 15, 20 minutes and reflect on our journey with AI and where exactly we should be going in the upcoming years while leveraging all the great minds that we've been, listening to. So accordingly, I'm going to take the audience for that, 15, 20 minutes of journey. During this time, instead of really promoting a particular point of view, spiritual or religious, I really would like us to introspect, our journey so far as humanity and with AI, and try to extrapolate or make us think about the future. So during this time, I will be, posing some questions. I will be giving some examples, and these are going to span from religion to regulations to, emotional intelligence and ultimately evolution. And hopefully, coming out of this 15, 20 minutes of time, we will have slightly different sort of perspective and lenses into the technologies that we are developing and how we are going to really embed AI into our daily lives, which seems to be, happening faster than ever. So the very first question that, again, we hear on the, media or other places, is AI really a friend or an enemy? So for this, for us to be able to appreciate this better, maybe we should look at the, different technologies and what they did in the last couple of centuries to our daily lives. If you go back to 1900s in United States, there were about 12 million farmers providing whatever the food is needed at the time for the population. Coming to 2014, we see that there are only 2 million farmers left. That effectively means about 10 million of farm jobs have been eliminated. This is due to the industrial, technologies, from tractors to other means of really doing, agriculture more efficiently, more effectively, because we know the output is more than what it used to be. And unfortunately or fortunately, this wasn't only the agricultural sector. We observed the same thing with, again, secretarial jobs, how the Microsoft basically solutions have changed it, or, weavers, those basically made, carpets or fabrics or, dresses, etc., have been eliminated. Everything has been automated. So a study coming from the MIT basically states that in the past 40 years, there hasn't been any industrial sector where the technology has been introduced and no jobs have been basically lost. So it is inevitable as AI is coming, especially for the low to medium skill level jobs, whichever industry AI is going to be in, it is going to cause, job loss of jobs. But what is interesting is that the economy has been, growing, and that means actually that, number of jobs also increasing in overall. But the nuance here is that the particular sector versus the overall economy. So with that in mind, we should start observing how is the technology is really coming and entering our job, lives, and thus, eliminating some of the, jobs, the, really the low level jobs. So we are all familiar with the virtual assistants. We are familiar with some, online banking, music streaming, recommendation engines, self-driving cars. These are really happening. And they are not necessarily coming from a single technology. As you can see that, some of them are really based on natural language processing. Others are about, computer vision or robotics, etc. So rather than really dealing with the individual sort of, application that we observe or the technologies behind it, I'd like to elevate the conversation to a little bit, to the philosophical level of is it going to be always in narrow AI, which basically means a particular limited domain that AI will always outperform the human beings? Or is it going to be general AI in the sense that it is almost equivalent to human beings? Or, as some basically are scared, is it going to be super intelligence that really, human beings are going to lose the control completely to this, new capabilities? But we do observe that whenever there is actually some of these applications are on the rise, it is, one way or another, taking away some of the, responsibilities from the human beings and, and then, changing that particular industry. So for us to better understand, what may be happening in AI and, technological spaces, let's step back again, look at the 1940 studies by Abraham Maslow. On the left-hand side, you basically see that framework based on the studies. Basically it shows that human beings, we care about what is at the bottom before we worry about what is basically on top of that. So first of all, like before we listen to my talk or basically going for a travel, we want to make sure that we are not thirsty. We feed ourselves. We make sure that we are safe. Only then we worry about some other higher level of satisfaction. And what this framework basically suggests that ultimately what we are all trying to do during our lives or as humanity is to find the meaning of life. Similarly, when we look at AI, again, it really starts with the low level of data collection, sensor technologies, and then putting that into a particular framework, cleaning up the data, aligning up with the outcomes in a particular business domain, really then, generate, train the data, train the net models, and ultimately start generating insights, whether it's about medicine, whether it's about, self-driving car, etc. Only then, if you will, AI is, self-fulfilling and really reaching that, value generation and finding its meaning. So quite the same sort of journey that one could argue that AI is, on a similar journey. Something similar also has been existing with the humanity. One example I picked up for the interesting title of this talk is from Sufism, mostly associated with Islam. And what it basically says is that as an individuals as well throughout our lives, by basically eliminating some of the bad behavior, you're really getting inspired and looking for the goodness in life, we constantly improve ourselves to ultimately become the best version ourselves. And this is not a foreign topic to everybody, other folks, other spiritual orders as well. One could argue that nirvana is exactly the same thought in Buddhism and some other spiritual journeys as well. But the similarity is probably going to be helpful to us as we sort of examine AI from some human sort of lenses. So number one, could AI become emotionally intelligent? So there are several studies showing that AI is actually getting better at this. So some of the things that AI is able to do, understanding the facial expressions, the eye movements, body language, tonation in your voice, and every other cues, that actually some of the AI tools are getting better than some of the human beings. In fact, there is even a study showing that AI type of tools could understand whether someone is criminal or not with 90% accuracy. So the jury is still out there. However, AI does have some capabilities if the right cues and data is fed into it, it could handle some of the emotional intelligence capabilities. Then the scary part is, could AI turn into an, evil? Again, if you guys remember the 2016 Microsoft experiment with the Twitter bot called, Tay, T-A-Y, the intention was, great, how could basically Twitter sort of could learn about the topics and thus being able to maybe self-tweeting over time. Unfortunately, with the feeding of really biased sort of topics and information, within 24 hours, Tay became very racist, xenophobic, anti-Semitic, basically absorbed everything that is bad about humanity. So the lesson basically learned out of this, yes, AI has the native capability to learn and learn it fast. However, what it gets basically exposed to is important, which direction it will go. We'll come back to that, later on. Then the question becomes, if it is going to become really evil like that, or has some emotional intelligence, what is the relationship between the AI and, law, should be? Again, about a few years ago, 2018, Low Geeks, AI bot has been run against 20 top lawyers. And the context of the competition was understanding the defects and inconsistencies with the non-disclosure agreement contracts. So within seconds, the AI basically found the results, whereas it took at least about 100 minutes for the human beings. So this again, shows us when adequately positioned and trained, AI could actually help the human beings to be able to make some of the judicial decisions and processing faster. But I don't know if any one of us would like to prefer to have an AI as the judge deciding on our fate versus a human being. But yet there is something there that we need to be, again, cautious about and with the right positioning of the AI to make that some of those decisions more wisely. Another question that may come is, how about religion? Is AI going to influence the way that we acquire some of these values, even beyond, like regulations? Again, there are three scenarios that, experts are foreseeing. Number one, just like, financial services, AI could actually enhance the religious services. So by removing some of the barriers, individuals who's got the religious, beliefs and, tendencies could become even more religious. They could actually benefit from AI in that regard. Others believe that, as a secondary, that AI may become actually, super intelligent, right? As we were alluding earlier, may even write its own Bible or its own script, so to speak, in year, 2040s and such, and may recruit, start recruiting its own followers. So AI could become a religion itself. Yet another opinion is about, AI becoming really, again, super intelligent and gain conscious. Again, we see studies with the natural language processing, how some of the, consciousness is emerging, that it could be such that some of the questions that we are seeking answers and guidance from today's religions may proven to be not needed. So it may actually, on the contrary, eliminate the religious beliefs, at least for some of the communities, and really disrupt the way that we are approaching life and the way that we are basically achieving our own, self-fulfillment, as I alluded earlier. So given all of those, what AI could potentially become, what is still left for the human beings? Still, thanks God, in a way, AI, the human beings are better at empathy and communications. So until all those, traits that we alluded earlier, facial expressions, eye movements, body language, tonation, etc., might be still helpful, but you still need a human being to be able to make that, critical thinking, making decisions with uncertainties in place. Despite the fact that we are seeing a lot of art being generated by AI nowadays, whether it's about musical compositions or about paintings or videos, etc., by just feeding into some text into these tools, we see that we haven't seen that, or I should say, AI has not invented a new genre yet, or it doesn't currently have a particular style that one could argue it is like as revolutionary as Picasso was or Mantis was. So the long story short, there are still some capabilities as human beings that we have, where maybe leveraging with AI, it could be better in some, rather than seeing ourselves a competitive entity. So how come then, as AI, as human beings, we got really better at these things? If we again look at the evolution, we see that there were some critical points in our evolution, like the first time, vision appeared in Mondrian age, later on the invention of some of the tools that helped us, elevate ourselves in Maslow, hierarchy in terms of, building pyramids, for example, or, inventing the engines, right, for the cars or, or the flights, etc. So there are definitely life and relationship between human beings and technology have been intertwined. We cannot really argue that, the human beings evolve without getting any influence by the tools, the technologies we have invented. So most likely as well, with AI, we will definitely get influenced, maybe not just by, utilizing in mundane jobs, but some of the thinking and the reflections that, we may do. So we are, whether we intentionally know this or not, we are at that critical moment. Maybe we are going to create something like, dystopian movies like Matrix is, making us think that it's going to really end the life as we know it, and we basically completely dominated by the machines and AI, or something that we are going to experience totally new that we never thought of or imagined before. But regardless of that outcome, instead of just passively waiting and saying that, oh, maybe AI is good, maybe AI is bad, maybe there are things that we can do about AI and ourselves. Number one, more and more, institutions, great minds, basically talking about the ethical values brought into the design of the AI. So instead of just waiting for these technologies to be adopted and then later on we try to regulate them, why not from the start, from fundamental sort of design of the AI technologies, we should keep that human-centered, objective, lacking bias, transparent, respecting the law, right, and being secure and resilient. So just like the evolution of the human beings, instead of letting the babies going through the entire human history of revolution by leaving them in nature and then they somehow figuring out to become civilized human beings, maybe with AI as well, we should really pick up that formulation of our ethical values, and instead of waiting for the AI technology to discover those and making a lot of mistakes along the way, we should actually accelerate for AI technologies to start from better values, so that not only they still solve that business problems, still create value economically or otherwise, but doing all that with those some of the aspired the values that as human beings we are basically cultivating. So lastly, I'd like to also use this opportunity, not just dealing with AI and making sure that AI is on the right path, but not sort of discouraging us from our own journey. Because again, because of technologies, lots of data, lots of opportunities are in front of us. And as the new generation is getting educated and getting ready for the next sort of era, it is important that our humankind is also getting better at the things that we are doing. And we really need to sharpen those areas instead of maybe teaching our kids how to do calculations, faster, because computers will be better at those things than we are. But there are some areas that we know that we have clearly advantage, that we should also be improving our ways of, collaboration. For example, originality and creativity should be encouraged rather than just copying and pasting what others did and, worrying about people like my work or not. We should still, do puzzle solving. Instead of our education still looking like a medieval ages of memorization of the textbooks or formulas, maybe they should become more and more problem solving. And in those problem solving, it is okay for some of the AI and other technologies to be used, but we should go after more complex problems to be able to, again, still make the, progress. Emotional intelligence, again, within the, let alone between AI and human beings, among the human beings, we lack a lot of emotional intelligence. Because of those that we do have those fights, misunderstandings, or lacking the collaboration skills where we could actually collectively achieve more. And, while the crowd and collaboration is important, we should find, put some checks and balances that individual voices are not also, censored, because who knows, some of those thinking may be the spark that will open up the next sort of evolution cycle for, for the human beings. And the resilience. Again, some of this, convenience of life in the Maslow's triangle hierarchy, that, things are easy, Amazon delivers to our door easily. We could basically, our self-driving cars, take us from point A to B. There are still, however, difficulties, challenges, like the COVID-19, taught us, there will be inevitably some disruptive challenges that as humanity, we should be ready for. And given all of that, a lot of, progress, technology, it is really important, given that our lives are not necessarily becoming infinitely long, maybe 85 years, if you are really have a good health, maybe 100, but still the time is most valuable asset. So how are we really prioritizing the things that we are focusing on, the problems, the issues, with the help of AI or without it, that we should be really learning how to prioritize the things that we are doing. Last but not least, I said, at the beginning that I wasn't going to promote any particular, spiritual sort of, perspective. But I hope with some of the things that I exemplified here, the questions that I asked and that you may be thinking about even after hearing the things that I said, that we see AI as an opportunity that we could actually extend our intelligence. But for it to be really have a multiplying effect, more positive net effect, we should really get better as humanity. And we should really start proactively putting that ethical values into the design of the technologies, so that together we could actually pursue at the top level of, Sufism or, Buddhism, or the hierarchy of the, Maslow's, triangle. So with that, I'd like to thank you all for listening to me in the past, 15, 20 minutes. And I look forward to hearing from you through LinkedIn or, some other means of, reaching out to me. Back to you, Betul.